Last time I talked to you, of course, you were playing with Phoenix. Now you are with Indiana. You spent a good amount of time out with the Mercury, but I got to go back. What was your first reaction to getting traded to Indiana and now playing with a whole new group of women here this season?
Yeah, it's exciting. I was drafted out here 6 years ago, and I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of great teammates, a lot of great experiences, a lot of playoff experience. And then, I was kind of actually just sitting out here by the pool and got a phone call that I got traded to Indy. And I'm not going to lie, I was stoked. I was super, super excited. I think that's one of the hottest teams in the whole world right now. And so just to kind of have all those eyes on you, not only to elevate your game but also off court opportunity. And so right when I got traded, I actually texted
Hmm.
Alyssa, who is one of the boss ladies up at Quest. I'm like, hey, it's going to be a big year for the both of us. And I was just really excited to bring not only myself but everyone I worked with kind of elevated up to a new platform.
100%. So right away, shout out to Sophie Cunningham, pretty much letting you guys know that she was excited when she got the call. Understands that the Indiana Fever, hottest team right now. And now we're hearing it from Sydney Colson and Sophie. Everybody knows the Indiana Fever, so they knew last year. These girls knew last year that the Indiana Fever were the hottest team. And now they get to be a part of it. And now she understands. Sophie understands that being a part of an organization like this with the eyes on you, now that means outside partnerships, everything's going to grow. So she calls the whatever manager she works with or the owner of Quest or whoever she works with, her agent there, and let her know, like, hey, Quest, we're gonna take that next step. We're gonna be on a huge platform this year with the Indiana Fever. So, you gotta love it. And she's doing it the right way. Marketing the right way. Let's continue.
Without a doubt. Speaking of those platforms, you've previously raved about Caitlin Clark. Everyone knows the big superstar she is, rookie of the year, and now Indiana, a perennial playoff team, and maybe even a contender this year. So we'll get into some of your new teammates in a second. But when you raved about Caitlin Clark last year, I can only imagine it seems like you actually just spoke this into existence. Now you actually get to play with her this season. Tell me a little bit about that.
I just think she's a phenomenal player. I think that not only Caitlin, but I think Stephanie White and her coaching staff is one of the most elite level coaching staffs in our league. You have Kelsey Mitchell, you have Natasha Howard, you have Dewana Bonner, and so our team is looking really, really good right now. And we're all just kind of excited to actually get together and get working out. But when you have someone like Caitlin, she's a generational, maybe a one-time player to kind of graze our sport. I think that we've had a lot of great players, but with all the new eyes and the social media presence and our games being aired on TV, I just think she, and some of the other rookie class members too, they just carried our game to a whole new level. And this is something that we've always wanted. And so just to play alongside someone who has, elite level thinking, passing, shooting, I think it's going to be pretty fun for a shooter like me to let her go do her thing and I'll just be spotting up.
I was going to say, since you are a shooter, you're pretty deadly from the three-point arc. When you talk about being surrounded by her, she can do it all. You mentioned some of the other veterans already, Dewana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson, just among the other players that were added to the roster this year. Do you find this mix to be even more advantageous with someone like Caitlin Clark, and of course, you have Aaliyah Boston as well. So when you go from the young guns roster this year.
So before we even continue with that, let's just talk about the fact that, when this team gels, is going to be something serious. She understands Coach Stephanie White. That's a great coach. And not just Coach Stephanie White, the coaching staff that they have put together. The trainers, Coach Keith Porter being the head trainer, and just the team in general. Natasha Howard, Dewana Bonner, the girls that were able to get in this locker room, I don't understand how they were able to do it, but they did it. And the faster we can see them all together, now we'll really get to see whoa, this team is going to be special. 100%. So it looks like Sophie's in Arizona right now or Phoenix, wherever she's at, maybe gathering some things, getting ready for the move, enjoying the sun. It definitely doesn't look like she's in Indiana right now, but this is amazing. I'm excited. I know everyone's excited. Sophie Cunningham, she's becoming that, like we said, she's going to become a huge star. You're going to start seeing her on a lot of interviews, getting a lot of coverage, and that just goes back to the point of brand deals. Being in Indiana, you got the eyes on you. So
I'll just
I'll
be
be right back.
spotting up.
I was gonna say, since you are a shooter, you're pretty deadly from the 3-point arc. When you talk about being surrounded by her, she can do it all. You mentioned some of the other veterans already, Duana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson, just among the other players that were added to the roster this year. Do you find this mix to be even more advantageous with someone like Caitlin Clark, and of course, you have Aaliyah Boston as well. So when you go from the young guns that are really really good, but then surrounding veterans like yourself who have seen a lot of game experience and some playoff experience, what is that mix like?
You know what? I think our league is all about experience, especially when you get into the playoff runs. You can be the hottest team, but if you don't have that experience in the playoffs, you normally don't make it very far. And so I think that our management, our front office, they did a wonderful job of, having all these young bucks who are hungry for wins, who are willing to do whatever it takes to get those wins. And then you bring in, I totally forgot Sydney Colson. She has championships under her belt. You have Duana Bonner, who has championships under her belt. Aaliyah Boston, who had championships in the college, which still matters, right? So you kind of know what that feels like. But I do think when you have that experience and that leadership with kind of the young bucks, I think it's just a great combination for success.
100%. And a big key factor is doesn't matter like how good your team is rolling. It's going to be very hard to move forward in the playoffs without playoff experience, championship experience. And that's the one thing that Indiana Fever did not have last year. They had a great team coming out of the Olympic break, putting belt to booty, and they were one of the scariest teams out. So one of the scariest teams out, but what did they lack going into the playoffs? Playoff mentality, playoff physicality, playoff experience. So they were a little bit shook that first playoff game. Second playoff game, it looked much better. I thought they were going to win that game. It's just they didn't have the experience. They didn't have the coaching experience. Chrissy Sides didn't have any playoff experience. She coached a little better in the second half. But Coach Stephanie White is going to have that experience. These girls that they brought in, Sydney Colson that we keep talking about, Cunningham, Natasha Howard, Duana Bonner, Brianna Turner, all these girls are going to have experience, veteran experience, and then just physicality. All the girls that were brought in, there is a purpose. They fit. This team, I think, is going to fit perfectly. They have every little piece that they need, and we still have a draft coming up. So that's the one thing that they really did good. The front office, man, you got to give them a lot of credit. I mean, a lot of credit for what they're able to accomplish. A whole new team, and they kept the main players who were putting in that work last year. They kept the main players.
I wanted to circle it back to your partnership with Quest right now, which is why you're here with us here on 3. When you work with a brand like that, particularly over the past couple of years, how do you carry that over now with a new market, as you alluded to before? Now with Indiana, you have a superstar like Caitlin next to you as well. What does that do for the brand, for you personally, and how do you bring, I guess, more women on board with maybe a brand like that, or give them similar opportunities?
Yeah, you know what? I just think that this year is a lot of firsts for me, right? And same with Quest. This is the first time they're ever going to be hosting something at a bar, Upper East Side, during the tournament. And so for me to kind of be a part of that, I'm super excited. I think I'm a kind of like fun, spunky, go with the flow type girl. And so for them to kind of let me be behind the bar doing the Sophie Teeny, which is, definitely high protein. So I'm still having fun, but I'm also kind of getting in my nutrition. I'm just excited for all that. And so not only am I elevated, I've been blessed with a great platform, but like I said, I'm super proud to represent Quest. I'm a Questhlete, and I don't know, I just think they're doing really good things, and hopefully I can do really good things on the court.
I'm glad.
And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Alexi Hall gets a Quest deal. Any of these girls, Natasha Howard, Aaliyah Boston. And by the way, I appreciate you guys for letting me know where Aaliyah Boston is doing the broadcasting thing. I figured. But look, being around, Nick stated, being around someone like Caitlin Clark, a superstar, you're going to start, Quest is beyond excited. Any brand that works with these athletes and they're on the Indiana Fever, they couldn't be more excited. They understand the media coverage, the interviews, commercials, just all the social media, everything that comes with the Indiana Fever. Guys, you got to understand, last year, the Indiana Fever, they were the #1 sports social media at a time. Stated. Like, they were pulling in more numbers than any professional sports team. That is a fact. So, it's huge. Any brand is huge. That's why I keep saying, don't worry about the money. The eyes will be there. There's other ways to make money. Get involved with brand deals. You play with Caitlin Clark. You're on 41 national televised games. Get the brand deals. Get your money. Very smart, Sophie Cunningham. That's one thing about her. She's never, ever turned the table against Caitlin Clark. It's always been, how can I be a part of that? Because she knows how to capitalize. Very smart. Very, very smart woman.
College game as well, but it seems like more athletes, such as yourself. And again, you have a generational superstar like Caitlin, but others that are now taking advantage of these brand deals and, of course, elevating their own brands coming into the professional part of the game. When you look at the NCAA tournament, I don't know how much you followed it up to the point now with the Sweet 16, but with the teams remaining, is there someone you have your eye on in terms of an individual or a team that you really like to make a bigger run later in this tournament? I know, I guess the sad news is Juju Watkins, was injured the other night, and now that really does hamper USC. But what are you looking at for the remainder of the NCAA tournament?
It was good. I think Alabama had a heck of a game against Maryland last night. But I think, Juju kind of getting injured, that's where everyone's mind is at. But I just think women's basketball is hot right now. We're at an elite level. Again, I think we've always been there, but just the viewership and the accessibility to actually watch games is at an all-time high since last year. And it's carried over this year. And so I just think these games are competitive. We love the men. We're different from the men, though. I think we're more high IQ, fundamental, still athletic, but it's just a different game. And so just to kind of be someone who's been at the NCAA tournament, now I'm on the other side as a pro, still looking and, kind of watching these people. Some of them are going to be in the W with us. And so it's fun to see them enjoying where they're at right now. And I'll be looking forward to, kind of playing against them or with them in the next couple of years.
I like that you mentioned the high IQ type of basketball. Now you're more known as a shooter, but have you developed? Is there a certain part of your game that you've really honed in on and really tried to develop, maybe in terms of the basketball IQ, or maybe something off the court that's led to more on the court success?
Yeah, I think in my college careers, I only had one. In my college career, I was a high IQ player. I had the ball in my hands a lot. I was coming off pick and rolls. I was doing the motion offense. And I think when you get drafted out here to Phoenix, is a little bit more one-on-one ball. And that's no one's fault when you have Diana Taurasi and you have Brittany Griner. That's the way they play. And so I think that I kind of got used to just being a shooter. Where, in Indiana, it's more my style play. It's back to motion offense. It's back to run and gun. It's getting to the paint, kick and shoot. And so I still feel like I have that in my bag, and I'm excited to kind of showcase that this year.
Nice. So once again, Sophie keeps talking about the Indiana Fever being a better offensive fit for her. So it's a change. And I keep telling you, maybe that brings a better version of them out. She's been with Phoenix all her life. All her professional career. That system over there was built for Diana Taurasi and BG, like she stated. Now she's in a role where we're going to use all of our pieces because we're going to be slashing, cutting, dumping off to our shooters, running the floor. We have a point guard who's going to be looking for us. Great right there. Hold on. Let me see what else we're talking about.
That this year, just going back to Caitlin Clark, I'm sure it's maybe a little bit easier. You played with legends in Phoenix, but you're playing with maybe a growing legend in Indiana. How often are you going to share the ball with Caitlin? Are you going to say, like, hey, look, I'm open. I know you can score 1,000 points, but here, I'm open here in the corner too.
Yeah, you know what I think when you're all on the same page just to go win a ball game, I think that the egos and the unselfishness goes away. She's definitely going to have to get hers in order for us to win, but I don't think she's a selfish player whatsoever. I think if you're open, she's going to get you the ball, and I think that's something that more people are starting to understand, that she's one of the best passers in the league. As good as her shots are and as deep as they are, I think her passing ability is even better.
When you talk,
yeah, Caitlin Clark is not selfish. She's going to get Sophie her shot. She's going to get everybody her looks. You guys take off pressure from Caitlin Clark when you guys can score. If nobody else is scoring the ball or nobody else is converting on layups or things like that, you guys are going to make it harder on Caitlin Clark because now they got to clamp down on Caitlin, and that's it. The game plan can be around her. But if we have a Lexi Hall balling, DeWanna Bonner balling, AB balling, Natasha Howard balling, Sophie Cunningham knocking down threes. That's going to be very hard to guard. So if you guys produce on the offensive end, which Caitlin Clark is going to want that, you guys are going to make it easier for her to score. So I'm just excited, man.
Talk about that.
Sophie's knocking out this interview. Shout out to Nick, too. Nick, you're doing great, by the way. Make sure you guys go sub to Nick. He's almost at 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you guys support his channel. And let's continue.
Part of the game is that maybe your biggest advantage as a team this year for Indiana. I know you guys are still gearing up for the season, and there are going to be more expectations here in 2025. But is that unselfishness maybe one of your biggest attributes as a team this year?
Absolutely. I think anyone who gets the ball, they can go. It's going to be a run and gun. We're going to be fast. We're also going to be able to all shoot the ball. And so there's not a lot of times that all 5 players on the court can handle the ball or shoot the ball. And so I just feel like the team that they've put together on paper so far, it looks really, really good. We're all going to be very new to each other. So you're still going to have to build that chemistry, gain that rhythm. But I do feel like we have all the pieces that we need. And now it's just making it all fit.
I love hearing that. Sophie Cunningham with me here on On3 Sports.
So that's the big thing. We're going to end it there. Look, Indiana Fever look great on paper. We all know that. How are they going to fit chemistry? How's the locker room going to be? How is it going to go when they lose a game? How are they going to act when they hit adversity? That's what's going to be important for a championship team. How are they going to respond to the coaching? How are they going to respond to their point guard? How is the point guard going to respond to them? So there's a lot of things that the Indiana Fever have to, figure out, and I'm sure they will. Stephanie White has a lot of talent, I guess you could say, a lot of talented players in the organization, and she's going to have to figure out playing time. You guys know, if players aren't getting playing time and they feel like they should be playing, you guys know how it gets. So I'm hoping everybody drops egos first day of training camp. Everybody comes in with the right mentality, looking to win, looking to work hard, looking to protect each other, have each other's back, and support each other. And then also compete very hard against one another so we understand that when we're going into the league, we have no doubts on what we could do. We have no doubts. You guys got to trust each other, trust the process, understand that the mentality is playoffs, then championship. Don't overlook any opponent. Take one opponent at a time and take it serious. You guys are going to have a lot of fun. I know this team's going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of fans, a lot of new fans. And then here's the main important thing. Don't get distracted with the media. Don't get distracted with the bullshit comments on Twitter and all the nonsense going on. Stay within each other. Stay within the team. Stay within the locker room. Trust the organization. And that's it, man. Look, shout out to Nick. Once again, shout out to Sophie Cunningham. One more time, make sure you guys support my boy, Nick Kosko. Besides that, I'm going to catch you on the next video. I'm out.